It's a great pleasure for me to be giving this online lecture. It's the first time I'm doing it, and I do hope it's a successful experience. I'm going to talk about Indian mythology and astronomy, not in isolation, but an interplay among them. How has Indian mythology and astronomy, how have these two interacted with each other? That's what I plan to discuss. First, ritual was a means of securing divine approval and support for human actions. To be effective, the ritual had to be elaborate and well timed so that careful distinction could be made between the auspicious and the inauspicious. So timing was very important, and this necessitated observance of natural phenomena. In other words, origins of astronomy lie in the early requirements of ritual. India has always interacted with the outside world. There was two-way give and take interaction with West Asia and Central Asia. There was a land route from India to Tibet, to China, and from China to Korea and Japan. This has been by the land route. Sea route has taken Indian culture and people to East Asia like Indonesia and to Burma. And over the Arabian Sea, there has been trade and there have been other links. So India has not grown in isolation. People talk of Vedic astrology. Unfortunately, the term Vedic has come to be used as a synonym for pre-Muslim. This is not quite historically correct, because if you were talking of Vedic astrology, you would only be talking of nakshatras, not weekdays, not zodiacal signs, and not this accurate calendar. Now, from Vedang Jyotish, there's a jump. There were Greco-Babylonian inputs which were incorporated. Indian astronomy was modernized. And this modernized Indian astronomy appears in fully blown form in Aryabhata. His work, Aryabhatium, was composed in 499 AD. So let us say from 600 BC to 500 AD, developments have taken place from Vedang Jyotish to Aryabhata. There must have been developmental stages, we don't know. Now, these are some important snippets. Ashoka's edicts, which are dated 3rd century BC, they are consistent with Vedang Jyotish. There is a Buddhist Sanskrit text, very famous, Shardul Karanavaran, which is dated about 4th century AD. It is also consistent with Vedic astronomy. Now, Mahabharata, which as you know has been in composition for a very long time and is believed to have been finally closed in about 400 AD. It does not mention zodiac or weekdays. So even if zodiac and weekdays had been introduced before that, somewhere in India, somewhere in North India, they did not enter Mahabharata. This is an important point. I mentioned that astronomy had its origin in such a manner that it was almost like part of scriptures. Even when astronomy developed as a mathematically rigorous discipline, it did not break its ties with the scriptures. A proof of that, an illustration of that is the Yuga scheme. It's a very artificial scheme, but the astronomers accepted it, adopted it, so that instead of saying, for example, that Just a minute. I'll give you the exact figure. A Mahayuga, uh, Kali Yuga is 4.32 into 10 power 5. Kalpa is 4.32 billion years. Mahayuga is 4.32 million years. And if you ask where does this figure 432 comes, you take 360, multiply it by 12. That gives you 4320. Because in the Vedic period, year had 12 months and 360 days. So that is how the origin comes. And therefore, the astronomers accepted this key. And there is an asura, demon. Please note that demon's name in Rig Veda is Swarbhanu. Swarbhanu is a very beautiful name. It doesn't look like a demon's name. But he causes an eclipse. Sun appeals to Atri. Atri does recite some mantra. And sun is freed. So obviously recited some mantras and till the eclipse lasted. Now the similar story is told about Buddha also. The sun appealed to Buddha and Buddha brought the eclipse to an end. So Rig Veda mentions Svarbhanu. The same story is picked up by Yajurveda and all other related texts, where the name is given is Rahu. There is a pattern that at one time science as represented by astronomy and scripture were inseparable. And there was give and take. Now, religious books, because of their sanctity, get frozen. Science doesn't get frozen. So science moves ahead, and there's no mechanism for constantly updating scriptures on the basis of scientific knowledge. So that is where this dichotomy comes. Finally,